Good afternoon to the audience. The authors, whose names and affiliations can be seen on the slide, thought it would be interesting to explore how climate change impacts the human exposome. We would also like to express our gratitude to the organizing committee for the opportunity to participate in this conference. We will begin by defining some important terms for the presentation. The human exposome, a concept first used 20 years ago, considers that human health depends not only on genetic factors, but also on the totality of environmental exposures an individual experience throughout their life, from the prenatal period onward. These exposures include chemical, biological, and physical factors, social inequalities, and psychosocial influence. In this sense, the exposome is the complement of the genome. The concept was later enriched by considering the chemical substance present in the human body as the internal component of the exposome, with environmental factors, including pollutants, lifestyle, and social factors, as the external component of the exposome. This leads us to consider change in how concepts of human health are perceived. Health must therefore be understood as a dynamic process of adaptation and balance in synchronization with the natural and social environment. According to NASA, climate change is a long-term change in the average weather patterns that have come to define Earth's local, regional, and global climates. These changes have a broad range of observed effects that are synonymous with the term. Climate change and global warming are often used interchangeably, but have distinct meanings. Similarly, the terms weather and climate are sometimes confused, though they refer to events with broadly different spatial and time scales. Climate refers to the long term, usually at least 30 years, regional or even global average of temperature, humidity, and rainfall patterns over seasons, years, or decades. Climate change is one of the planetary boundaries that have been transgressed, as can be seen in the two control variables used to evaluate it, the concentration of carbon dioxide and the radiative forcing. Climate change produces change in the exposome, such as increased heat, air pollutants, infectious agents, pollens, and psychosocial stress. These exposures also influence the internal component of the exposome and explain some of the health effects of climate change. In addition, water stress is exacerbated and there is an increased risk of food shortage. Climate change factors trigger biological events that in turn impact human health. Heat and ultraviolet radiation affect temperature regulation, causing dehydration and change in metabolism. This in turn is reflected in liver, heart, and brain diseases, as well as skin cancer. The proliferation of infectious agents associated with changing environmental conditions increases tissue damage and generally alters the microbiome, which increases the incidence of infectious diseases. Increased exposure to allergens triggers reactions that manifest in a higher number of cases of various allergies. The increase in the concentration of pollutants in different environmental compartments, especially in the air, also affects the microbiome and induces oxidative stress at the cellular level, which is reflected in an increase in lung and heart diseases. Extreme events cause psychological damage and stress, which in turn is reflected in an increase in mental illness. Anxiety problems due to the adverse conditions and situations that human beings face lead to mental health problems. But this is not limited solely to health effects. Landscape alteration, the decline of ecosystem services, and the loss of biodiversity, among other factors, affect our entire psychosocial environment and lead to undesirable effects, especially among the most vulnerable populations. Our relationships with our environment shape our interior, including how we see ourselves, our resilience, and our empowerment. Is there still hope? Of course, yes. It is necessary to increase research and monitoring of change and trends in climatic conditions, as well as the levels, transport, and toxicological effects of pollutants, primarily anthropogenic ones, on both ecosystems and humans. Likewise, the development of effective and inclusive public policies is required that mobilize society to confront and mitigate the consequences and influences of climate change with interventions that benefit the most vulnerable populations. I hope this climate change conference will contribute to that. I believe in human solidarity, and unlike what Carson McCullers' novel suggests, the heart is not a lonely hunter. Thank you very much. Questions?